Good to have you here on this Thursday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Glad you're making us a part of your day. So much to get to here on the programs. We're in the middle of OTAs around the National Football League. The Falcons, a lot of news out there for Arthur Smith today. Falcons made a signing, also a couple of injury announcements. One in particular, pretty significant. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. D'Orlando Ledbetter, AJC.com, covers the Atlanta Falcons. He will join us coming up here on the show. We'll get the very latest out of Flowery Branch here this afternoon. We're also talking college football. Ben is all over the sport. We got the first 4 weeks kickoff times, and certainly now that we know where week one is, we can start setting up the strategy. You can start laying it out. What am I doing on Saturday? How much stuff do I got to say I have to get done? How much stuff has to get done, and when does it need to be done by? That's what we have to do as men, is say, hey, look, it's college football. It's the opening weekend. You want the grass cut, it's going to have to be done at 8 a.m., or we might just have to hold it a few more days.
Listen, basically, Kevin Thomas is telling all the listeners he has a new book coming out called No Weddings in the Fall. If you plan a wedding in the fall, you are about as you're evil. I'm telling you, because that's not happening, people. So basically, Kevin Thomas, it hasn't hit newsstands yet, not being sold yet, but basically, no weddings in the fall. Anything outside of a child being born, and it better be somebody you really respect. It's gonna be, hey, is the baby fine? Yeah, the baby good. Can't do it if it's on Saturday.
I actually respect that as a book title. I'm gonna have to come up with the content right now. But hey, true friends don't get married, and no weddings in the fall. A story in selflessness. But it's my wedding. No, think about everybody else.
Exactly. Listen, if you want to know if she is your true love, she will tell you, okay.
Now, I will say this, Ben, and you know this.
Mm-hmm.
Your wedding is not about you.
It's not.
As I will say this as the guy, and I will say this somewhat about the bride as well. Your wedding is not about you. And you say, boy, we're going off on a tangent here in the start, but that's fine. This is why I say this, because back when we got married, my wife and I, she was like, well, what about this and what about this? I said, listen, it don't matter. She goes, no, but what? I was like, it doesn't matter. I was like, you pick what you want. I'll be honest, unless we go back and look at a picture, you're not going to remember what flowers we had up there anyway. Like, I can't tell you, Ben, I go hang out with my friends all the time. I can't tell you. I can count on, both hands the number of times I've been sitting around with my friends and they say, do you remember that bouquet I was holding? No, I don't. I have no clue what it was. What about the food? I don't know. And so, look, the wedding, the ceremony is about you two. Everything else is about everybody else. About, look at the dresses. They're so nice. The food. I talked to a couple, and when we were planning our wedding, I talked to friends of mine who had been in their wedding. And I remember one of my friends had a sit-down dinner after the wedding. Really nice. Obviously, cost quite a bit to do something like that. But talked to him, several months after the wedding. I said, man, I got to say, that was really nice spread you had at the wedding. The steak dinner was on point. And he looks at me, he goes, I didn't even get to eat it. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I didn't even get to eat it. Like, we were there. And then they said, get up and go talking to people who came to the wedding. He's like, neither one of us ate the food. And I was like, so wait a minute, wait a minute. So you got to sit down dinner, and the people who were the whole reason we're here, y'all didn't even eat the food. He's like, nope. So see, your wedding is about everybody else. Don't be selfish. Schedule it 3:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock on a Saturday to fall. That's all I'm saying. End of tangent, Ben. We can move on if you like, but I just want
no, Kevin. Because Kevin, we listen. We're doing God's work right now. Okay, let's just call it what it is. Right? There are very few times the older a man gets, the more simple he is. All a man is doing every day, he's doing his best to not turn into his dad. That is we're trying our best. We're not going to win because at one point our dad said they're not going to turn to their dad, and they're doing it. So you telling me all I got is 3:30 on Saturdays in the fall, mind you, out of all the seasons in the fall, and you telling me you want to
three whole
you want to plan our wedding, and we're in two weddings, not doing it. No, because number one, I don't want to be the one. Somebody's in the back going, "Oh, they scored. What happened? I don't want to disrupt nobody's day, so I'm just going to decline and say no. I'm not coming to no weddings in the fall. So because Kevin, you know, just like I know, they were supposed to say we're gonna do a night wedding. Well, then it's gonna be a rain delay for my game. It's gonna get pushed, and I can't. I just can't, man. I can't depend on everything to go right. No,
I will say this. I did not to sell him out. But Christian told me a couple of days ago that he has a wedding in the fall, not his, but he has a wedding that he is in the fall. And I said, what? He said, yeah, well, he goes, I've already been told and made promises that there will be TVs set up. He's like, the reception, the ceremony is before kickoff. The reception is after kickoff, and there will be TVs so that everybody can watch.
So hold on. So basically, so somebody's gonna be trying to do the toast. Listen, I met these guys. Oh, go. Now listen to me. Look. Hey, Kevin, you know this, right?
I know that's
things that seem when anything you're trying to add extra to a wedding, and I hope I'm wrong. It is guaranteed to go wrong. It's not gonna go the way you think. This is gonna be the best game of the year, and you're gonna be like this, yeah. Give me some mashed potatoes, man. I'm trying to see this thing, Kevin. That's all I'm saying. Christian, you are a godsend because whoever your friend is, he owes you big time. Yeah. Big time. That's crazy.
But yeah, you know, I didn't know. I know we were going to talk about weddings today. But,
hey, Kevin, all I said is you say college football when the book comes out. No weddings in the fall, part 2. Hey man, the fact that the guy has to agree to it shows I got to pay for the wedding and I can't agree on the time. My goodness, come on, man.
No, that's all I'm saying. It's like, you know, it's a fun Saturday time of year. People want to watch the games, you know, and you know, 10 a.m. weddings are all right unless you have like diehard like I got to see College game day. But I mean, if you're that committed to college football, you've probably either been married for 40 years or you are never going to be married if you are like, it's 10 a.m., man. I got to catch College game day or this ain't going to happen. So love advice on a Thursday. I look, man, I don't know what we were supposed to talk about here, but apparently we were supposed to talk about weddings now that we know the schedule for the fall football games in college football. So look, you know when the games are, ladies.
Come on, say it.
Be considerate now. We have times.
Kevin's Twitter about to blow up. They're gonna say, "Did you just tell the ladies to be considerate?" Yeah, but I'm talking about the games.
Yes, we are 50% of this marriage. No, hey, but I will say this: if you're planning on getting married in September and you're a Florida fan, noon weddings, you'll be fine, man. I think they're playing like 7:00 every night.
I get sick of that. To you odds makers out there, bad enough I have to suffer. I love and suffer through the college football season because I know what it is. I'm trying to get better at watching the games. I am getting better, but I don't like the flex, Kevin. I don't like that we're gonna flex y'all to 7. Why?
No, but it's already out. We know. I think the Florida's first 3 games are at 7, 7:30, and 7. So there you go. That means Ben Troop in the fourth quarter.
That means I can't go to sleep until the game is over, which means I literally have to be up all day. That's ridiculous. And Kevin, you know what scares me about that? I give you a couple of words. SEC tournament, the baseball tournament going on right now, rain delay.
Yeah.
And all I keep saying is 3:30, 4:30. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Lightning delay. You get lightning delays in Florida there in the
you do.
So no, look, I will go over all that coming up a little bit later in the show, but the schedules, at least the times for the first 4 weeks for most conferences put out there today. And the week 1, man, you can go ahead and start planning it out. It's going to be 4 or 5 straight days of good college football. So we'll talk about that coming up. The Orlando Ledbetter, as I mentioned, will join us as the Falcons going through OTA. Some big news for Arthur Smith out there today. The Falcons go out and sign a running back. What does that mean? They just drafted a running back. You have Damian Williams, who you're trying to make a running back, and Cordarrelle Patterson, who is kind of whatever you need him to be out there as well. So Falcons making some moves here. We'll get to Orlando Ledbetter about that. But OTA is going on in Atlanta, in Jacksonville. Is this a big year? Ben's talked a lot about year twos. Big year in Jacksonville for a bunch of guys going into year 2. We'll get to that when we come back. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Love to hear from you. You can give us a shout, 912-342-7184, and join us here on the program. Tell me I'm wrong about fall weddings. They're bad. Don't do it. Unless you're honeymooning to, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium or, the Swamp or
no, I'm about to say that if the carryover is, okay, I got you a game and you get to run out with the team. Okay. But you know what? You don't got that much juice. Because if you did, That Kevin, that's what we're gonna do. Outside of saving lives during Halloween, we're gonna come up with a wedding planner thing to where we plan them in the fall, but for another 2,500, we can get you. We can fly you and yours to the team, and we'll talk to the coach. Let you run out. Make sure you're in shape.
No, honest to goodness, like how big of a super fan would you be to plan it if it's like, hey, Florida is playing Utah at 7:00. We want to get married on the field at 6. Midfield, warming up. Both sides don't care. Hey, the bride just got hit in the head with a straight punt. It's all right. Just go with it. I do. Kick it off.
Listen, it would be the most streamed wedding of all time, but they would hate it. They're gonna be like, get off the field.
Hey, what? No, they wouldn't. You got an hour for kickoff, and you could also have the flex of, hey, 80,000 people showed up at my wedding.
Hey, listen, hey, Kevin, I will tell you this. Hey, listen, to you billionaires out there, do that.
Yeah,
y'all got juice. Show us that.
You don't got to buy the food. You don't have to provide a DJ. You don't have to do any of that.
Listen, don't wear no makeup because it's gonna get sweated out. It's gonna be hot in that stadium. It's gonna be the first short set wedding. Everybody got on shorts.
Hey, I ain't got no problem with that either. Hey, we got more to come. We're talking Jacksonville big year for Trevor Lawrence. How did he look last year, and where could he go in year 2? It's 3 now at Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We're streaming live ESPNCoastal.com and on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Good to have you along here, 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. We'll hear from D. Orlando Ledbetter. AJC.com covers the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons with some big news today on the injury front. Also made a signing today. We'll get to that with D. Orlando Ledbetter as we get through OTAs. Of course, now we're almost to June. Training camp coming up at the end of July, so it'll be here before you know it. So Ben, Jacksonville, no different than Atlanta, trying to take a step forward. You have what you believe to be is a big-time quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. Last year, I think 17 picks. That was tied for first in the National Football League. But all but one of his interceptions came while the Jags were losing. Of course, they were not a good team, so they weren't winning a whole lot. But when they were winning, he was careful with the football. What do you expect to see out of Trevor Lawrence in year 2? I know we assume he's got better weapons offensively. We'll see if they play that way. But you said, hey, I think he could be a top 15 quarterback. Were the tools there? Picks, touchdowns, interceptions that he threw last year. Is there room for improvement for him to take a huge step forward with this team?
I think there is. I really, really think there is. Sometimes, Kevin, when you can look at interceptions a lot of ways. Obviously, you can't turn the ball over to the other team. But looking at a guy who's willing to take chances. When you look at what he didn't have last year, had to try to force some balls. You talk about his receiving core last year. Wasn't much to ride home about when you look at his cast of characters. Now, you bring back Laviska Shenault going into, I think, his 3rd year. You add Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, and then you talk about Ingram right there in the slot. I mean, at the tight end position. Then you talk about what Travis Etienne can do. I think he can make a huge jump. I think when you look at what Trevor Lawrence brings to the table, big arm, a guy that can make all the throws. But now, while Christian Kirk broke the bank, you got a lot of Marvin Jones has been a headliner, right? Christian Kirk has not been a headliner. Zay Jones has not been a headliner. Evan Ingram, the reason why he's no longer with the New York Football Giants is because he underwhelmed. Now, when he was good, he was good. But too much up and down. I think, Kevin, what I like the most about, a guy like Trevor Lawrence is he's proven that he's not a front runner. He's never lost in his life until last year. And people kept saying, how is he going to handle it?
And that was a disaster of a situation he was in, obviously. Start to finish.
And I will say this: you take any great player, and you put some guys around him in a very, 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 very successful environment, or a non-toxic environment. It works. You don't believe me? Matthew Stafford, 12 years, he was with Detroit. Good player, really good player. Didn't win 1 year in LA. They win the Super Bowl. Now, it wasn't just because of him, but he was a missing piece. So I think, I don't want to talk about the Super Bowl and the Jags in the same. I want people to lose their mind. But I think, Kevin, they invested in him. Travis Etienne was hurt. How much different would his year been last year had you had a healthy Travis Etienne? But I think you said the best, Kevin. You got a healthy working environment. I got Doug Peterson. I got a former Super Bowl, head coach. Still got Trent Baalke in the freaking front office. But I got a healthy working environment in a AFC South that obviously has added Matt Ryan. No one's scared of Ryan Tannehill, and I don't even know outside of Derek Stingley Jr. and Damian Pierce. I don't know who plays for the Texans. I couldn't tell you who plays for him. I think he can make the jump, Kevin, because now Doug Peterson gonna tell him, look, man, you can't make that throw. You can't look that, because the bad habits. They're going to have this really, really good players have to be coached really, really hard. You can't give them that pat on the back is over with, because you're no longer the best player on the best team in your conference. So I do think at the end of the day, Kevin, I think he can make that jump. And because he put up some nice numbers. When I say numbers, I'm talking about yards. But got to cut down on the interceptions. And if he can cut it down to maybe 10 picks, 10 and lower, I think he got a really, really good shot to potentially compete in the AFC South that I think is wide open.
Yeah, again, and how wide open could it be? And we've talked about this a number of times as you see the movement around. Obviously, said the Texans. Is it Davis Mills? Who the heck knows what they're going to really be? The Titans. Again, Ben, do they scare anybody? You got rid of A.J. Brown. You have Tannehill. If Derrick Henry has to miss games like he did last time, I mean, their defense is nasty. I'm not going to take anything away from there. But offensively, do they scare anybody? Are they going to beat people 42-10? No, I don't think so. So you look there. Matt Ryan in Indy is, to me, the wild card, right? Because Matt Ryan there at Indy, we saw what he did for a Falcons team that just had horrible talent around it. Just, missing players, the offensive line couldn't do, and he still, scrapped up 7 wins somehow. He's going to have he's going to have one of the best offensive linemen in the league standing in front of him there in Indianapolis. I think they, instead of the Titans, might actually be the best team. But as you said, the mountain is not tall for them to climb. I think they can get more than 3 wins. I think with Trevor, as you said, with Doug Peterson, maybe who's a little more with it on the NFL level in terms of play calling, development, and actually knowing what the heck's going on. I mean, I think you could see him take a huge step forward here in year 2.
And I think you will. Kevin, you make a great point when you talk about the Titans. No, people aren't afraid of the Titans. They're afraid of Derrick Henry.
Sure.
Because they know if I can't stop 22, I can't win. Now, the thing about the Colts is they're very, very interesting. They're saying, hey, Jim Irsay came out and said we should not have signed Carson Wentz. Like, we should not have signed him. Think about it. And this is the Colts quarterbacks the last 3 years. Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz. Now you add, a guy in in Matty Ice. So they like veterans
sure.
to come in. But the thing about a young team like the Jags in a conference like the AFC, you can go out there and make some noise. Why? You're not a big market franchise. You're not a part of the NFL fabric. When you think about it, outside of maybe the Colts, the AFC South is the most underwhelming conference in football.
Yeah, certainly.
Titans, the Jags, the Texans, and the Titans, and the Colts. So I do think that this Jags team, it's kind of like Auburn, right? When we expect Auburn to be world beaters, they don't. And when we say it's going to be a down year, they go out there and supersede expectations. Trevor Lawrence, they gave him weapons in the offseason. They didn't do it through the draft. They did it with veterans who already been in the league. So he's going, look, I'm going to put seasoned vets around the young quarterback. I'm giving him pass catches. Evan Ingram, pass catcher. Christian Kirk, pass catcher. Zay Jones, pass catcher. Marvin Jones, pass catcher. And obviously, see what you got. And a guy like Travis Etienne, and obviously Laviska Shenault. But Kevin, I'm sorry. Joe Burrow got everybody thinking, hey, man, you give them some weapons that they can do. And that's right, wrong, and different. If you would have told me that the Cincinnati Bengals going to do that in 2021, I would have laughed at it.
But with all due respect to that, that Bengals team was better than this Jaguars team is, right? I'm talking about the year prior. Like the year prior when Joe Burrow went down, they still won. They went from 1 or 2 wins up to 5 or 6.
Yeah.
This Jags team went from 1 to 3. So if they make a similar jump,
and back to back number 1 overall pick.
Sure.
So your average age on this Jags team is probably 24, 25. That's average. That means you got guys 22, 23, and veteran roles. Your best player on defense is Josh Allen, and he's 25. That's your best player on defense. So I think that when you look at, what they did in the draft, when you look at what they did in the offseason, bringing back Cam Robinson, him obviously signing a new deal, get him out that franchise tag. We're going to see what you got, Kevin, because what Doug Peterson wants to do is build through the draft. He said, look, I want to take guys as him, develop them, win with them, and when it comes time to re-sign them because they know our system. Because every time you bring in a new guy, you're bringing in a new way of doing things. You're bringing in a new, perspective and advantage point of doing things. But it's the Jags. The great thing about the AFC South, you can develop because you're in the no one cares division. They used to tell us that no one cares about the AFC South because you don't know nobody.
Who told you that? Who told you that?
Oh man, Marcus Robinson. When Marcus Robinson, he played. He was a safety on the '99 Super Bowl team that played the Rams. I said, man, I said, what is it about the AFC South? He goes, no one knows, no one cares. Just go out there and play. I said, really? He goes, why do you think they call it the Tennessee Titans? Right? It ain't they'll say the Chicago Bears, the Houston Texans, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They said because Nashville Titans just didn't hit well, right? They call us the Tennessee Titans because they want us to represent the state. And he says no one knows what Nashville is in the state. What? They don't know what Nashville is in the state. They said if you put a map and you say, where's Nashville? They point at Memphis. They point to Knoxville. And all you got to do is point to the middle of the state. So the Tennessee Titans, that's stuck like the Carolina Panthers, not the Charlotte Panthers. Carolina, we want both So hey, it happens, Kevin. But I do think that if Trevor Lawrence can cut down on the picks, keep that level of durability, find a way to utilize these weapons, get some help in the running game, get some help on defense. Hey man, I'm not saying they're gonna be world beaters, but they're gonna be definitely a hard team to beat, definitely in the AFC South.
We've got more to come here on 3 and Out. We'll look at the switch gears, talk some Atlanta Falcons. They've had OTAs going on and had a couple of good news nuggets they dropped today. D. Orlando Ledbetter will join us next here on 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out on this Thursday afternoon. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, thanks for making us a part of your day. Falcons going through OTAs. Arthur Smith had a lot of news to drop here earlier this morning, and joining us here to talk about all of that, to cover the Atlanta Falcons with AJC, AJC.com. D. Orlando Ledbetter joins us. Daryl, welcome. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on and joining us. I guess the first kind of nugget put out there, Deion Jones done for the offseason. I know that's a guy that had a lot of speculation about the Falcons want to move him post June 1. What does that do to potentially those plans?
Yeah, I don't have put much stock in that report about the June 1 move. They're planning to bring him to camp and let him compete for the inside linebacker job. He does have a high number on it, but right now they're a team that has the highest dead cap space in the league. So unless they can get a trade or something like that, Deion will come in here and try to compete for his starting job.
And D. Orlando, how good of a shot does he have? Obviously, I mean, when you look at the draft, they got a lot of young guys in the draft, pretty high draft picks that can play both the inside linebacker position and the outside linebacker position. But I've never seen this situation where he's out for the offseason. You said they're bringing him to camp. How good of a shot does he have to actually make the team and not be a camp casualty?
Well, I think the whole message of Arthur Smith has been nobody's entitled to their job, and you see one star after another from the old regime leave. So that's certainly possible. I mean, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Keanu Neal, DeMonte KZ. They haven't been shy about moving on from players. Deion's a little smaller linebacker who doesn't necessarily fit the 3-4. So, they brought in Rashard Evans. They drafted a kid from Montana State, 6'4", 243, real fast. Doesn't know how to play linebacker yet, but they drafted him. Signed Nick Kwiatkowski. They got some guys they can put in there. If they don't think Deion could handle the 3-4.
D. Orlando Ledbetter joining us here on 3 and Out. Falcons also go out and sign a running back today. Is that just trying to make sure you have as much competition there as possible? Do they want to get Patterson out of there and maybe play more of a slot situation? What are they looking at running back after they drafted a running back and now assigned one in Jeremy McNichols from the Titans?
Yeah, Jeremy's a more camp body guy. He's been around for a while now. Drafted in the 5th round by Tampa Bay, been with 4 or 5 different teams. Best you could describe him as a journeyman. He's in here, learned the system, but he'd be about the 4th, 5th running back. He was signed today to help him out to get through the off season and maybe give him some fresh legs during training camp.
The Orlando, obviously, the rookies already had their mini camp. They're back in camp again. Is anybody stood out? I know nowadays with everything being clickbait when it comes to social media, I saw Desmond Ridder with no helmet on. I saw, Drake with no helmet on. Has any of those guys stood out? And who do you think is going to get a chance to have a key role come the fall?
Well, they you want to some guys I've been told to check out, and one of them is D. Alford, a cornerback. They were able to pick up late last season, so we've been doing that. They're not. It's a lot of 7-on-7. The rookie receiver looks good running these routes on air against some coverage. AJ Terrell's looking good out there. Looked good out there today. Can't tell much with the linemen, but they did not move. Looked like Dahlman was working with the ones ahead of Hennessy, but it was the same line. You got Mayfield at left, Jacob left, tackle, and Lindstrom and McGarry. So, that was a stunner. But, they're trying to work on some new things. The rookie looks good. Arnold, they call him AK, Arnold Ibikute. He looked good at the one-on-one drill. So, it's some people that have been jumping out at us, and a lot of people that they told us to keep an eye on. Also, Avery Williams is being moved to running back, and he was a returner last year. Didn't do too well when they put him in there at cornerback, so they're giving him a chance to make the team as a running back.
Daryl, obviously you spent a lot of time around this team, and Ben and I kind of got a chuckle out of OTAs, rookie mini camp when you see fans out there. And it's like, hey man, Desmond Ritter's going to make it a competition. He's out there. I'm getting Russell Wilson vibes. Like, do you just look at that stuff and go, guys, they're in shorts?
Yeah, no question about it. We played not one single down of football, or will not for a month. And these people on Twitter, it's just ridiculous that they come up with this stuff. That a guy looks great in the gym class setting. He should look good in the gym class setting. But we know that the veterans that have been around. I was talking with my guy Steve Weiss at the NFL owners meeting, and we got an award for guys like that. It's called the Lawrence Robinson Award. Doing OTAs and off season, Lawrence Robinson looked like Jerry Rice and the second coming of Jerry Rice. When they put the pads on, it was a little bit different. He did make it in the league and got him a big contract in Jacksonville. And then concussion shortened his career. But the All Flowery Branch team, he's the king. Of the All Flowery Branch off-season team. Him and Brett Grimes are the two our offensive and defensive MVPs for the best players we've ever seen out here in gym class.
And the Orlando, man, I mean, to that end, I mean, when you look at some of the guys they brought in from the, you get Brian Edwards, they bring him over from the Raiders. You can bring in guys like Casey Hayward, Tease Tabor. Which one of these veterans have looked the best thus far, especially when, like you said, no pads? You can't really get a true barometer, but some of these guys are going to be, Brian Edwards is picked to be a starter. Obviously, Casey Hayward going to be opposite of A.J. Terrell and Tease Tabor. He's trying to hold on to his NFL career thus far.
Yeah, Tease was out there a little bit today. He's just trying to, help make it on special teams, provide some depth. Speed's been an issue since he came out of Florida. Casey wasn't here today, but Coach Hope and Coach Perry said he's doing a great job in the secondary. Still got the footwork, he still move, and so forth. So that's a good one. And what was another one there? You asked me, Ben.
Yeah, Brian Edwards getting him a big trade coming from the Raiders.
Yeah, Brian Edwards, soft-spoken guy. We got a story posted on him in a few minutes here on AJC.com. Him and Mariota were happy to reunite. They were together with the Raiders. He was also with Hayward with the Raiders. I'm not familiar with a lot of his work. I know he was a high draft pick. He's a big, good-looking kid. I must have missed his pro day in South Carolina. But they have high hopes for him. They were impressed with him coming out and have been following him since, the Titans. And it looks like, they like these bigger receivers because their quarterbacks are not known for accurate passes. So, they just get him close to these big guys is going to be part of the Falcons formula. And he's going to have a chance to catch him some balls here with Pitts and Drake London. If he can be on the field with those guys and maybe Cordell coming out of the backfield, he'd be the third or fourth guy that should be in a mismatch. So he has the opportunity here to make his mark in the league and earn him some keep. He's kind of a poor man's Mohamed Sanu is where we have him right now. Maybe he can overcome that and be surpassed what Mohamed Sanu was, but that's what role we see him in at this point.
The Orlando Ledbetter joining us here on 3 and Out. And to that end, how do you ideally, obviously, not in fantasy land, but ideally, how do you think the Falcons see this wide receiver? Is Drake London a number one year one, or is this the guy's like, hey, he's a number two that we hope grows into a number one? What ideally do you think they see the receiver breakdown here going forward?
Yeah, I think going forward, he's going to be at one. They're not going to ask him to be at one right off the bat. He's only 20. He's a young guy. You're getting younger and younger guys in the league now. So, they don't want to put too much on his plate, and then you don't have anything. And so he's going to be at one. Probably not going to be the one right now. Kyle Pitts will be the one from the tight end spot, and Cordell will be the two from the running back wide receiver spot. And you're going to probably see London in the slot a lot, trying to get a mismatch on some little small corner and then try to abuse them that way.
And the Orlando, I mean, this D line. I mean, I know that's the the hardest thing that Arthur Smith gonna have to deal with all year. I mean, how you gonna generate a pass rush? Obviously, they gave Grady Jarrett an extension. Still trying to wait on Marlon Davidson to get out of the tub and dealing with injuries. You bring over Lorenzo Carter. Who's gonna be that guy on the outside to help generate that pass rush at a consistent level in the NFC South that they're gonna throw the ball around?
Yeah, no question. It's Ade and looks like Lorenzo Carter or your ones for now. They drafted Obikute and Malone. He's only 335 pounds, but he can drop and cover and do all those things. So he'll go over there behind Ade, and that's where they're at right now. They got some other guys, Quentin Bell, and so forth that they signed and have been developing. But it's going to have to come from one of those four, or that group of four, is where they're at right now on the depth chart.
And Orlando, finally, when you think about a guy like Arthur Smith, obviously going into year 2, didn't really have a lot to work with. No more Matty Ice, no more Julio Jones. You talk about a guy like Marcus Mariota, who you hope can kind of right the ship so that Desmond Ridder can ride the bench and not have to play this year. What is he going to have to show in year 2, especially with a team that's going to have a lot of money in 2023? How well does he have to look in 2022 to not, even could potentially not be the number 1 overall pick come next year's draft?
Yeah, they're trying to establish the winning culture. They did that last year. They won 7 games that, they probably shouldn't have won with the point differential. They were either sneaking in those close wins or getting pounded by better teams. They didn't beat anybody that went to the playoffs. So this year, their challenge is going to be to, beat the teams that are, near the bottom of the league like them, and then maybe pull off some upsets along the way. So you're not picking number 1 overall next year. They're going to be overmanned on some Sundays, starting with the second week when they go to the Rams, 2 games against Tampa Bay. They got the NFC North and the NFC West. They're not going to be favored in none of those games. So it could be a very long season, but, they got some young players that are going to get a chance to play. They're going to have to get better and, have enough building blocks at the end of this to move forward in the free agency and brag to people that, hey, we got something going here. We just need you. And, that's going to be their posture coming out of this season.
The Orlando Ledbetter, AJC.com, covers the Falcons. Daryl, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Sure, no problem, Kevin and Ben. Take care. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it as always. D. Orlando Ledbetter joining us here on 3 and Out. Falcons and OTAs going on there in Flowery Branch. We got much more to get to here on 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Appreciate D. Orlando Ledbetter coming on the show, talking about the latest there at Falcons camp as they go through OTAs there in Flowery Branch and talking about the use of those wide receivers. Obviously, you look at Ben, he wasn't too hot on the point that he thinks, Deion Jones was going to get moved anyways. But, I mean, you have to look at it and say he underperformed last year next to the guy with the most tackles in the National Football League. I know he talked about dead cap money, but obviously him missing all of the off-season workouts from here on out, not good if you're trying to secure and keep your spot there on this Falcons roster.
Yeah, it's a very, very peculiar situation. I've never seen nobody say they out for the off season, and especially Kevin, that comes out days earlier of deciding that he's probably going to get moved June 1 because of the cap hit. But I'll go back to what he said too as well. You got a young linebacker, Troy Anderson, who, while very athletic, when he says, quote, don't really know how to play the position yet, I don't Christian go care was showing me all his highlights. The young man played. It looked like he played quarterback, linebacker, tight end, everything. Kind of was like a Taysom Hill kind of type, even though he played defense. Deion Jones started looking a lot more attractive because, Kevin, Deion Jones undersized. I mean, 215, built real similar to Darius Leonard, the linebacker for the Colts. Difference is Darius Leonard has been a two-time first-team All-Pro, and he's all a 215, 220, and Deion Jones has underwhelmed. I do think this is going to be a very, very peculiar offseason for the Falcons because Drake London, 20 years old. Brian Edwards, I forgot. Brian Edwards, Casey Hayward, and Marcus Mariota reuniting from being on the Raiders roster. The difference is Brian Edwards caught passes from Marcus Mariota that must have been on the scout team because Marcus Mariota did not get a lot of burn during the regular season. And I like how D. Orlando is honest when he goes, look, big receivers mean I might not be able to be as accurate, but they got a gigantic catch radius. So my job is to put it in their general vicinity. 6'4", 6'4", 6'3", 6'5". I love the Orlando man. He said, look, man, I'm going to call it how I see it. But Kevin, did you see the slight jab at the O-line? Like, that was surprising. There are certain guys, because to me, it don't matter if we got 6'4" receivers. It don't matter if you're getting a running back from Tennessee. It doesn't matter if guys showing promise on the defensive side. If that offensive line cannot block better in 2022 than they did in 2021, it is going to be a long year for anyone Marcus Mariota. But, hey, man, early signs are always good, Kevin, like he said, man. I mean, my goodness, man, when you talk about Brent Grimes, boy, you talking about a blast from the past. Wow, he went way back there with that one.
Yeah, the all Flowery Branch team. I like that when he threw that out there. Also, as you said, I think D. Orlando is considering to go with Caleb McGarry. Like, why is he still getting run out there? I mean, that's we've asked about the O-line. He's like, for some reason, they keep putting Caleb McGarry out there and hoping he's going to get better. But I think that's the one thing that you worry about, Ben, with his Falcons, as you do end up in certain cases with the all Flowery Branch team where, hey, guys looking good in shorts. And then when it comes time to hit somebody in the face, where'd you go?
And Kevin, there are certain things in baseball, right? That no matter what level you play on, you play in the big leagues, you play in the minor leagues, you play T-ball. There are phrases that just don't go away. In football, look, there are guys in helmets and shorts. You can't do nothing with them. I'm talking about, whoa! You put these pads on right there because it's really just the pads right there. And all of a sudden, where he at? Oh, what had happened is my shoulder been hurting all week. And I know y'all didn't notice. Well, how your shoulder hurt? We was off last week. Yeah, I was at the batting cage throwing with you're a liar. You don't want to come out there. But hey, you don't want to be on the all Flowery Branch team. You want to make the real team and get out there and hit real people when it really matters.
And again, the Deion Jones word was he had a shoulder situation. He had surgery on. He's going to miss the rest of the offseason, has been said. That news coming out just a couple of days after Jeff Schultz had an article in The Athletic saying it was probably imminent that Deion Jones was going to be moving on from the Atlanta Falcons. My show. I'm not saying he's
that's the Jalen Ramsey, man. I can't play for Jacksonville, but I hear LA all pro.
I got Rel really quick, healed up, ready to go. We'll come back, take three around the corner. Good to have you along on this Thursday on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. This is 3 and Out. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Good to have you back here, hour 2 on this Thursday, and a lot to get to as we now know the start times. First 4 games of college football, but now we know the week ones. You can really set your schedule for college football. We'll get to some of those coming up in just a little bit. The Braves, winners last night. Dare I say it? Well, I won't say it yet, but we know what could happen if they win tonight. That's all I'll say right now, Ben. So
the non-superstitious, there are no curses. Kevin said, "I'm not gonna."
Right here. Let's take 3 here on 3 and out. All right, Ben. Take one. Kirby Smart, the president of Georgia, is not Kirby Smart, but the president of Georgia, Dr. Moorhead, has said we are working on an extension for Kirby Smart. Obviously, everybody does that when you win the national championship, but working on a extension for Kirby Smart. It is commensurate with other coaches who have won a national championship. So that being said, given he just put the most players in the National Football League in one draft from one school, won the national championship, should Kirby be the highest paid head coach in college football?
No. He should be one of the highest paid, but he shouldn't be the highest paid. Kevin, we don't want to start doing this, right? You know who's going to be the highest paid. No. Listen, I'm not blaming Kirby, but this is the thing, right? Kirby Smart, I think he's going into year 6. Year 6. All right. In 6 years, right, he's dominated. After his first year, he's dominated the East, right? He's been to 3 straight, I want to say 3 or 4 SEC championship games. He's won the national championship. He has won SEC championship. We don't want to start getting into what Nick Saban does or Dabo Swinney has done, right? Dabo Swinney has 2 national championships. Jimbo Fisher has a national championship. Coach O, even though he's no longer, he has a national championship, even though he's no longer in coaching. You bring over a guy like Brian Kelly, the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. Now, should Kirby Smart be in the top 5? Absolutely. And coaching, but this is why he's gonna get the money though, Kevin. Billy Napier is going to make $7.1 million. He hasn't coached it down. He's going to make 7.1. Lane Kiffin makes like 7.25, and I want to say that Jimbo Fisher makes 9. Neither one of those coaches have won national championship, so that means that Kirby Smart is at least going to be in the 12, 13 range because it's a recency thing. So you only re-sign when you start winning. He won a national championship, he's gonna be there. But Nick Saban, I already know. I hope Kirby Smart get 20 million because that means I'm 21. So at the end of the day, until Nick leaves, Nick Saban should and has earned the distinction of being the highest paid coach in college football. Number 2, that's up for debate. I do think Kirby's gonna get one of those Dabo Swinney type numbers, man. It's gonna be, and I'm sorry, Mel Tucker got 90-something million.
Yeah,
Kirby finna get some cheese. He finna get some cheese.
If you had to guess, 100 million over a certain.
Yeah. I think some. I mean, oh man, I ain't counting nobody's money again. But 8 years, I don't know, 8 years, 100 mil or something crazy. Because it's all about 2 things, people. It's about the annual and the buyout. That's it. It's about the annual and because Kevin.
I don't think they want to buy him out anytime.
No. They don't. I mean, people go, why is Jimbo still at Texas A&M? Have you seen that buyout? Oh, he's gonna be at Texas A&M for a minute. Because while boosters don't mind give you that cheese, they don't want to give you, what's it, Bobby Bonilla? What's his name?
Yeah, Bob Bonilla, yeah.
Exactly. So, Kevin, at the end of the day, we always say this. Then a couple of I don't even think it was a year ago. We was talking about they're still paying Gus Malzahn and different guys from Auburn. Trust me, once you get that 10, 20 million, they're going to spread that bad boy out. But should Kirby Smart be in the top 2 or 3? Absolutely. He's definitely earned that distinction.
I think he will be. I mean, I don't – listen, Ben, you know this. You've said this on the show. Everything around sports at times is about pettiness and perception. Don't think that Kirby Smart's agent, who was hanging out there, Kirby was with Nick Saban, don't think they don't know, hey, this is what Nick Saban gets. We just won the first national championship for you in 40 years. I'm going to say that again. We just won the first national championship for you in 40 years. If he's getting 12, we're getting 11. You better believe it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's supposed to be close by because at the end of the day, like you say, Kevin, this is a flex. Georgia's saying, hey, man, we beat Alabama straight up in the national championship. We've elevated the status quo since Mark Ritt has left. We put 15 guys, in the freaking NFL draft, in this last draft. We the beast of the East. We one of the 7 to 8 teams that can and actually won the national championship. And we are no longer in the dark days of could, shoulda, coulda, woulda. No, this happened. You're welcome. I'm gonna need that cheese. I mean, welcome to Kirby Smart Bank and Trust. Back up the truck.
Yeah. All right, moving along. Take 2. Coming into the preseason now, as we're inside 100 days, who is the best quarterback in the SEC as the conference continues to reload? Bryce Young, Stetson Bennett, Anthony Richardson. You got Max Johnson, Jefferson there at Arkansas. What now? Hendon Hooker, Spencer Rattler. Who's the best?
Who's the best? Who's the great?
No,
that would be A1 Bryce Young. Listen. What? Look, listen. I'm gonna say this though. I'm gonna say this. People ain't gonna like it. Stetson Bennett is the truth now.
I was trying to bait you into saying that.
No. Stetson Bennett is the truth. Like he is. Because at the end of the day, hey Bryce, what? You got that Heisman, right? Yeah. You got the NIL deal? Yeah. I got that ring. Oh, and guaranteed they're gonna be sure. Now, Kevin, I will say this though. Stetson Bennett, the last 3 years for Georgia has meant more to them than any player I've ever seen. He's meant more than any of them. And I love Jordan Davis and that defense. I'm not taking nothing away from them. They do not play offense. So you telling me my number 1 receiver, gone. Burton, hurt all year. I got a true freshman at tight end, and we're going to go out there and get it done with an okay running game that don't even feature the running backs like they used to. Stetson Bennett, people, is my number 2, and that's not how perfect, like Spencer Rattler, right? Like Levis and company. Love Hendon Hooker. Obviously, I love AR-15. I mean, we tied to the hip. But at the end of the day, Kevin, I'm sorry. Stetson Bennett is number 2 because of the production first, and the end result second. Because he had, I'm not going to do my BJ and get into the QBRs. He was top 5. Obviously, I'm going to go with Bryce Young. I mean, you coming back, you won the Heisman last year. I mean, they won a bunch of games because of Bryce. And like I said, Bryce Young was down his 2 star receivers in the national championship. But I'm going to go with who we had. But yeah, Stetson Bennett is my number 2. And if you don't like it, check the numbers, check the stats, check the bling. He checks all 3 boxes.
I mean, I think the quarterback depth in the SEC this year is going to be spectacular to watch and see a lot of great quarterbacks there. Like I said, hey, I specifically put that in there, Ben, because I thought I was going to get a Stetson.
Listen, I already said the great Kirby Smart earlier this week. I'm giving them dogs they love, but Stetson, love you, Stetson, man. I mean, Stetson, go get you the hat, go get you the fragrance, because you got the bling. But at the end of the day, it's Bryce Young, Kevin. I'm not finna do the crazy thing and say things like Blake Bortles is better than Cam Newton. I'm not starting that nonsense on this show.
All right, moving along. We'll go to take 3. So sad news today as part of 3. Ray Liotta, great actor, passed away today at the age of 67. Been in a lot of stuff. Goodfellas, Field of Dreams, Narc. He's played a lot of bit parts. I think he was in, wasn't he the dad in Blow? He was Johnny Depp's dad in Blow. what was his best film in your estimation?
I'm gonna say this. People forget. I've never seen Goodfellas, but anybody in, I'm sorry. Never seen Field of Dreams either. I'm tripping with that too. Kevin's like, what?
Those are like
listen, we're gonna have to talk about somebody. You talk about somebody who's not getting the contract extension. That's gonna be me because I'm not doing no. But I will say this: Narc is a incredible movie. You kill my partner, and I'm already a rogue cop. I do stuff my way, and you gonna say, "Hey, listen, hey, bro, don't give me that end of the academy. I don't want to hear about none of that. We finna get these dudes." He was incredible in Narc. Now, I will say this, man. I've seen that movie Karina when it was by him and his daughter. He had to get a nanny because his mom died, and it was him and Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, my mom had me watching movies like this, Kevin. It's always.
But it's okay to say you liked it. I mean,
I liked it. Listen, I liked it. I'm still Magnolia.
You like couching it. You're like,
but I will say this though. I will say this. Kill them softly. Listen to me. I like it when mobs robbing mobs. So you gonna rob me? You robbing people. Yeah, but you're gonna rob me. Him. I mean, you talk about what is it, James Gandolfini? That was yeah. He's that's his listen. That's I want to say that's Brad Pitt's partner in a great movie, but he will be missed. I think sometimes, Kevin, when these type of things happen, we go back and realize, dude, this dude was in a lot of movies. Like, yeah, man, I'm Johnny Depp's daddy in Blow. I'm the guy. I'm one of the people in the freaking emergency room on John Q with Denzel White. He's great as a co-star. Great as a star, he will be missed. But as far as like me, man, I mean, Narc to me, I'm sorry. You kill a cop's partner who's already rogue. When I got the government on my side and the state backing me, the bullets will be flying, people, and y'all can clean it up.
Oh man, I like Goodfellas, Field of Dreams, two great roles. He was Shoeless Joe Jackson. He's like, if you build it, he will come. So I'm talking about. And again, a lot of people may be saying, who is Ray Liotta? If you're on social media, I know you've seen the one of him laughing in Goodfellas because that one's out there, all the time. But yeah, Goodfellas, come on, Karen. I can't do it. I can't do that accent. Like, Karen. When he's yelling at his wife. I don't know.
Hey, man,
you need to watch Goodfellas. Great movie.
Listen, Kevin, listen, before this year is out, Goodfellas, Field of Dreams, Bull Durham. I'm gonna have to get these movie references down, Pack. I feel bad that I've never seen Goodfellas. That is a travesty. That is like, I don't know, boneless wings. Certain things just shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I would say this. Watch Goodfellas before Field of Dreams. And Ray Liotta's good at that. I think James Earl Jones is very good in Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner, obviously, very good. But I've watched Goodfellas before Field of Dreams.
Okay. All right. Goodfellas first.
Because Goodfellas is based on I believe it's based on he plays Henry Hill, who was in the mob and ended up being an informant down the road, but it's based on him. And so Ray Liotta's kind of like that. That was a great movie.
Okay.
If you like mob movies,
yes, which I do.
That's a good one.
Which I do. All right. I mean, listen, you mob movies with me, hey, because everybody, I'm just saying. I mean, everybody see a mob movie, they say, they calling their friends. Hey, man, we can do it. Boy, you don't get on my phone. We can't do none of that. We need mobs. They need cooperation, which we do not have. Don't call my phone. Not doing it.
Yeah, great movie, Goodfellas. Ray Liotta. Apparently, he was making a movie when he passed away. I think he suffered a heart attack or something. What I was reading, it was very sad. Wow. Great actor. He'd gone certainly too soon. That's take 3. We've got more to get to here on 3 and Out. Week 1 college football. We now know the times. We've got to plan it out. Unbelievable schedule of watching college football. We'll get to that when we return here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Love to hear from you at Pigskin Radio on Twitter. We're streaming live ESPNCoastal.com. You can also watch us here on the show, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel at ESPN Coastal and like and subscribe, and you'll get that notification every time we go live each and every day here for 3 and Out. We're coming right back talking college football next. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Glad you are making us a part of your day. We'll get to some of the latest Falcons news out there as well coming up. But college football, a lot of schedule release today, Ben, for the first weekend of college football. Actually, the first 4 weeks of the college football season. We now know the game times. And let me tell you, the opening week, we already knew there was going to be some tremendous football games out there. But now you start to plan it out as we see it. Georgia, Oregon. No surprise, 3:30 there in Mercedes-Benz. So your midday viewing pleasure. The defending national champs, Ben, against their former defensive coordinator in Dan Lanning. Bo Nix comes back to Atlanta. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that for week 1 college football. And to me, the most intriguing game right there in a weekend of pretty intriguing games right there, 3:30.
Yeah, Kevin. I mean, the thing about it is, Dan Lanning's finna realize, hey, man, you no longer part of the, the Georgia Bulldog Country Club. I know you went to a real nice crib out there in Eugene, Oregon. I know y'all got new uniform for every single game, but just because you can recruit in the SEC, it ain't the same thing as in the Pac-12. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say Sam Pittman, when he went from Georgia to Arkansas, I think his first game out the gate was against some Georgia Bulldogs, and I think that was an all SEC schedule that year. Very, very unfair to that man, but it should be good, Kevin. College football wins, right? Because we know how this book ends, right? We already know it's going to be some form of Georgia, Alabama, and 2 other teams scratching the claw. Ohio State, Clemson, maybe. But out the gate, Mercedes-Benz, you're talking about an Oregon, a team that's been really, really competitive, really, really good, kind of waving the flag for the Pac-12. Georgia, the defending national champs. So one thing about it, Mrs. Smart, she gonna be like, boy, I don't know what to do with all this money, man. My goodness. But I'm happy with Dan Lanning, though. He understands the strengths of that defense. The problem is they don't have a lot of weaknesses. It's gonna be a fun game, Kevin. But like I said, I mean, isn't it crazy? It used to be Alabama was in the dome following every season.
Yeah.
First game. Now it was Georgia. It's coincidental that it just happens to be the national champion. Well, Kirby Smart said, y'all said the national champs get to play in the dome if they win it. He won it. They honored that. And hey, man, Dan Lanning had no clue he was going to be the head coach of Oregon when they made this schedule. But here we are. Should be a good one.
I mean, just of all the times for it to work out, right? I mean, Oregon. I mean, if Mario Cristobal stayed, it would have been a great matchup. But the way it worked out is Georgia, Oregon. Your defensive coordinator who just oversaw one of the most dominating defenses we've seen in the last 20, 30 years in college football, sent a bunch of dudes off that defense to the National Football League, and now you get to turn around and play your former team week 1 right out the gate with, oh, by the way, a quarterback that's also intimately familiar with the Georgia Bulldogs and the SEC and the way things go, and Bo Nix. I mean, Bo Nix has had a lot of success in that building as well. Was it Bo Nix that did? Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Bo Nix beat Oregon in the Georgia Dome?
Yes, Bo Nix first game in college, I want to say, was against Oregon, and I threw like a game winner at the end of the game to win. Right. I mean, these college football highs are incredible, but these first games showing you, Kevin, that you're getting more of a bowl game type atmosphere, college football playoff preview in certain games, depending on who it is. But what they really do is that they say, oh, we get these teams from the Pac-12. How would they fare against, quote, SEC schools? Hey, I think it's going to be a good one. I know it's going to be a good one. Dan Lanning is why he's scratching and clawing at the bit to be able to say how his team stacks up against Georgia. We're going to learn a lot about old Mr. Stetson Bennett, 3-headed monster at the tight end position. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that defense. Is going to be locked down again, headliner, by guys like Carter and Nolan Smith. And it's Georgia. All they do is reload like nobody's business. And like I say, Kirby Smart is going from five-star players to 5-star culture to winning. They already had the winning culture. Hey, I know that sideline for the Georgia Bulldogs, it's going to be, are you on the list? Because they're going to be trying to get in there. And I'm sorry.
10,000 of them on the sideline.
It's the only way I'm getting in there because I'm with the media. Look, you see my credentials. You better move, man. I'm trying to see something.
Our good friend Jeff Owens will be down there with 10,000.
Oh yeah. Jeff, how many? 10,000 from a play. 10,000. Quote me on that.
Yeah, so that's obviously the highlighter there at 3:30. Then you go into the night games on that Saturday night. You got Notre Dame and Ohio State.
Wow.
potentially, I won't say it's an elimination game, but it very well could be week 1, and Utah and Florida, 2 teams I think that people are eminently interested in. Kyle Whittingham in Utah, they always very, very good. They came within a whisker bin of potentially crashing the playoff system last year. It didn't quite go their way, but they're going to be a very good team. And then Florida, everybody is talking about Billy Napier and what he brings from Louisiana to the Florida Gators program and how quickly can they turn. I mean, as you said, it's talking about setting the stage. Utah wins. You just went across country, went in the swamp on a Saturday night and got a big win. Florida wins. You beat one of the best teams in the Pac-12 in Billy Napier's first game. The expectations just shot through the clouds, right? I mean, if you do that, because I would imagine Utah's going to be top 10 in the first poll when it comes out, and a win on a at home in the first game against a program like that, and you're already starting the oh man, could we win this thing? Ben, you know how fans are, off of a win. So you got that right there. Sunday you get Florida State, LSU, and Monday you get Clemson, Georgia Tech. There in Mercedes-Benz. So, I mean, man, just 3 days right there of tremendous, tremendous football. And now that we kind of know where these games are, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Florida, Utah, going to have to be some remote flipping going on there the opening Saturday night of college football.
It's gonna be great, Kevin. It's gonna be great. Is there a better game in college football than Ohio State, Notre Dame? That's your first game of the year. You talk about the biggest brand in college football, Notre Dame, paired with one of the biggest brands in college football, Ohio State. I mean, and I just think that, Coach Freeman, his first game, coaching for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and obviously Coach Day trying to continue that incredible tradition at Ohio State led by C.J. Stroud. The top receivers in the country go to Ohio State this year. I am saying that right now. You don't believe me? I'm sorry, they just put 2 in the draft in the first round, and Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, they had a player in the freaking bowl game catch for more yards and catches than most guys have all year. Ohio State and CJ Stroud and that freaking offense versus Notre Dame and the brand. You talk about Florida, Kevin, with a guy like Billy Napier. Look, big time coaching job he did in Louisiana. I mean, and for those of you who said Louisiana, play the Sun Belt if you want to. Play with them if you want to. We're going to see how good AR-15 is. We're going to see how good guys like Javon Dexter is. We're going to see if guys like Justin Shorter, Keon Zipper, and a bunch of guys on offense with big names, do they got a big game to go along with it? Because Utah, last time I checked, that's the defending Pac-12 champs. Play with Utah if you want to. They will light a scoreboard up. And Kevin, at the end of the day, you come across country, and that's a long flight, people. That is a long flight. The Gainesville to get a big win. We starting out. You talk about a team like freaking Florida State and LSU. Look, it's going to be great. I think that sometimes, Kevin, even with the Clemson and Georgia Tech, Jeff Collins, I'm going to say this again. The most intriguing coach in college football this year lives in Atlanta. His name is Jeff Collins. He got one of the hardest schedules I've ever seen in a long time. Kevin, now I know, listen, DJU, you talking about knowing people, right? They should have beaten Clemson last year. They should have beaten them. But for those people saying, man, they in the dome. The last time Georgia Tech was in the dome, they had a big-time quarterback named Sam Howell. What did they do to him? What did they do to him in the dome? Listen, all I'm saying is, Kevin, you talk about out the gate. If Jeff Collins beats Clemson, woo! I mean, I'm just saying. And Kevin, and the reason why I say it is this. The first games, you really don't know. Like, you really don't know what a team has right now. Every scout report, every media blitz is going to be incredible coming out of fall camp. Everybody is ready to go.
Well, I mean, a lot of you go back to last year, Clemson and Georgia first game. A lot of people said, wow, that Georgia defense really bottled up Clemson and did a great job on DJU. And 10 weeks later, you're still going, boy, that Clemson offense never has really put it together. That defense was very good, but that obviously, again, as you said, week 1, you just don't know what you're looking at the end of the day. So, yeah, they got their work cut out for them, but that could be, again, a couple of opportunities to have really big upsets in week number 1. I mean, you talk about Jeff Collins beating a Clemson would be huge for him. You look there at Tallahassee, Florida State, LSU going to Death Valley.
Wow.
First game for Brian Kelly.
Wow.
If Florida State can maybe catch LSU in some first game discombobulation. And again, Mike Norvell's recruited all right. There at Florida State. What a statement that could be for them in their season. As you said, Notre Dame, Ohio, there's going to be some statements made in week 1 in a big, big way with some of these football games that we've been talking about.
I mean, Kevin, look, Jeff Collins will be my upset of the weekend. But Florida State go to Death Valley. Brian Kelly going from Notre Dame to LSU, you know it's big-time postseason aspirations, trying to even win the West and all these different things. Coach Norvell can come out the gate and beat LSU on the road and that. I mean, it's going to be some big-time. It's going to be some big-time games, big-time storylines, big-time players. There's a lot of question marks in college football this year. Georgia ain't one of them. Alabama ain't one of them. Ohio State ain't one of them. Notre Dame got Coach Freeman. They're taking over for Coach Brian Kelly. You talk about what Utah want to come to Florida and just spoil they opening game, spoil the first game for Billy Napier. Mike Norvell wants to go in and welcome. He wants to welcome. A guy like Brian Kelly, not necessarily to the ACC or the SEC, but say, hey, this is different over here, man. I know you've been doing the Notre Dame, and if Coach Jeff Collins in the Dome can beat them Clemson Tigers, Kevin, how much does that say about, hey, one, did Clemson just have some incredible quarterbacks these last 3 or 4 years, like Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, to where they were so good, they just was that much better than the competition? Because DJU, the jury is still out on you, young man. I know you came from California over to Clemson, but you're going to have to prove it. Because, Kevin, if Jeff Collins can beat Clemson, I'm sorry, man. That's showing that these Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, man, they're going to have it's going to be a long year for them, but you can start it like that. It could be the opening weekend of upsets. I mean, it didn't go crazy because, like I say, Dan Lanning, man, I wish you the best. But Georgia, you got to beat them for 4 quarters. Great games, though, all across up. And think about it, Kevin, you talk about Georgia. You talk about Georgia and Oregon. You talk about Florida and Utah. You talk about Florida State and LSU. You talk about Clemson. Talk about Clemson and Georgia Tech. I mean, you talk about Notre Dame, Ohio State. We haven't mentioned Alabama yet. That's how great college football is when you can have all these headlining games. You don't have to have Nick Saban and company to do it. But make no mistake about it, Bryce Young and company, if you got to play them this year, may God bless you. It is going to get rough.
Well, that's coming in the next week with Alabama, Texas. So Alabama, Texas, I think they said it's 11 a.m. Central. So high noon, Alabama, Texas in week 2. So that's have no fear. They'll show up on the schedule here in a big, big way. We got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Falcons and OTAs there at Flowery Branch. We'll hear from D. Orlando Ledbetter later in the show, but Deion Jones announced he's out for the entire offseason after having a shoulder situation. I had a lot of speculation earlier that maybe he was going to be moved. Ben, if he's hurt, I know we heard people say no, they weren't going to move him. He's got too much dead money. I think $5 million, but obviously that goes out the window now that he can't participate in off-season workouts leading up to the season, right? And nobody knows if he's healthy or not.
Yeah, you're not going to trade for a player that has an injury, and he's coming off of I think he had surgery. Yeah, Kevin. I mean, it's a peculiar situation because obviously, had he been hurt, a lot of teams would have been able to trade for him, even though they wouldn't want to pick up that entire contract. Atlanta would have had to be on the books for probably some of that money. But I think it kind of goes back, to a guy like Troy Anderson, who really, really good player, very, very raw, very, very raw. And the thing is, sometimes, to validate your draft pick, sometimes I want to have a veteran. Now, do I see Deion Jones being in Flowery Branch past 2022? I will go no, but I mean, maybe he has one more good year left in him because you're going to get the best he has once he comes off an injury because he's not just auditioning to go out there every Sunday for the Falcons. He's auditioning for 31 other teams if he does indeed want to continue his career after 2022.
Yeah, so the Atlanta Falcons obviously are going to hold there. They go out and sign a running back today, Jeremy McNichols from the Titans. He's an Arthur Smith guy. At least he had played for Arthur Smith in the past. And, are the Falcons building some running back depth? And Ben, you got, Damian Williams there. You went out and drafted a running back, Cordarrelle Patterson. How are you feeling about Cordarrelle Patterson as the running back per se, as running back number one, as people like to say, RB1?
I don't feel good about it. And that's nothing against Cordarrelle Patterson, right? I think what happens is Cordarrelle Patterson shows you that the more you can do, versatility, being flexible, being a guy that can go out there and do, many things. But Kevin, think about this. It's the same Cordarrelle Patterson who his best year in the pros, 2021. The same Cordarrelle Patterson who he tested the free agency waters. People like, we'll pay you to come on our team to return kicks and to be a second, third, or maybe a slot receiver. We're not giving you running back money. You did it for a team in Atlanta who, yeah, y'all had Matty Ice, y'all won 7 games. You was very exciting. But I think that what Cordarrelle Patterson brings to the table is versatility. You want to have a guy that you can put in different positions because you know what you got in Kyle Pitts. The jury's still out on Drake London because he's young. You don't know how good Alden Tate is. Brian Edwards, was a good productive third or fourth receiver in the Raiders. He's gonna be picked to be a number one with these Falcons. But Cordarrelle Patterson is a really, really good player. Make no mistake about it. To be as big as he is, he's very, very versatile. Certain games, man. Kevin, there are games where you just throwing the ball, 3 touchdowns receiving. There are games where you just feature running the football, 2 touchdowns rush. So he is a really, really good player, but he brings depth at 2 different positions. You need depth at receiver position, check. You don't know what you got at the running back position, and I think he brings depth. A guy that's going to get a certain amount of touches throughout the course of the year. Because the thing about Cordell that we ain't realizing is, if he just had to play receiver, Kevin, and you see how great he is in special teams, great return man. But you got to limit his touches when he means so much in his offense. Hopefully, he can just play the receiver position and maybe some special teams, and let the running back try to go out there and make a name for themselves this year.
Is Damian Williams a guy that can carry the load? Obviously, you drafted the young man from BYU. I don't know if Jeremy McNichols is going to be a guy that's anything other than, there to be a body at camp. But how do you see this Falcons run game? I neither you or I see Patterson being a 15, 20 carry guy. He wasn't that last year, and the Falcons had no running game. So is it better to get him out of the way? I know they want bigger, taller, wide receivers to play on the outside, but what do you do with him?
Well, Kevin, you still put him back there. Because sometimes when it comes to these running backs, you got a rookie, you got a journeyman, or you got a guy that's like a utility player. You want to be able to, maybe all 3 of them could definitely bring some depth. Cordarrelle Patterson is going to dress every Sunday for what he means on his offense. But, we go back to the days of, Michael Burnham, Turner and company. When you got 1,000-yard back, that means I got stability at the running back position. That means that I can go into games and say we're just going to ground and pound them. What makes Atlanta one-dimensional is, even if Cordarrelle Patterson is your running back, they're not scared of Cordarrelle Patterson. He's a really, really good player. But it's confusing when he's wearing number 80. He's wearing 84, and he's back in the backfield starting at running back. So I do think that Arthur Smith. I think the thing is too, Kevin. It goes back to what we said 2 years ago. He had a 2,000-yard rusher in Derrick Henry. And it's easy to call plays, and all I got to do is give it a 22. Well, you ain't had nothing like that since then. You couldn't get 1,000-yard rushing from 3 guys, maybe in 2022. You're gonna have to be very creative, but the running game is gonna have to be a key component to this offense, because while you got a bunch of tall receivers, you got a bunch of unproven receivers, and if all you're gonna do is just sit back there with Marcus Mariota and throw the football around from a guy who's not the most deadliest accurate quarterback, it's going to be a long year, because one-dimensional teams cannot beat great teams in the NFL. You can win some games, you should win, but it's going to be a long year. Cordell Patterson can help them young running backs, even journeyman running backs, come around and kind of showing them this is what they're looking for a quality running game.
So the guy who had a career year, I think the Falcons still trying to see where he fits in there in 2022. We've got more to come here on 3-9, including a lot of folks upset college football schedule. At least we know the game times for the early couple of weeks. He also put out the bowl schedule. A lot of people upset about one change to the bowl schedule. We'll talk about that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Getting a lot of game times here for the first 4 weeks of the college football season. Also, the bowl schedule put out there. And we got game times for a number of games, and been a lot of folks upset at the bowl schedule, the traditionalists, if you will, because the Sugar Bowl is not in prime time. We don't get the 8 o'clock. I know, obviously, the SEC is usually in that. It's usually always at 8 o'clock kickoff. And everybody goes, well, what's the deal with that? They are ahead of both of the college football playoff games. And I know people say, well, why not move it and have the Sugar Bowl be prime time another day? Well, New Year's Eve is on a Saturday, right? Saturday. New Year's Day is on a Sunday. And so you have NFL on New Year's Day. And then the second is obviously on a Monday, which is Monday Night Football. So you're keeping it away from Monday Night Football. So I guess the compromise that was made is now it's a non-college football playoff year. Is the Sugar Bowl bin going to be at 12 noon there in New Orleans? Does that feel wrong to you?
Yes, it does. I mean, it's very weird. It is. But that's the thing, right? When you start talking about Kevin and scheduling and what sacrifices are going to be made in the Sugar Bowl, man, some people ain't going to be getting out of bed then, man. Oh, my God, like 11 o'clock. But, hey, you knew it was going to be some sacrifices being made. Now, whatever team makes it to the Sugar Bowl, hey, you'll definitely have the rest of your day, to enjoy yourself in good old New Orleans, because y'all gonna get it done really, really early. But when you start, and that's the thing about scheduling. You're talking about scheduling. We're talking about these prime time cable networks. You're talking about NFL. You're talking about college football playoffs, Monday Night Football. Oh no,
yeah.
They say, well, what we're gonna do? The Sugar Bowl just got to go early. What? Yep, because we got 4 teams that everybody's gonna want to watch. We got Monday Night Football to where, hey man, I mean it is weird. It is weird. I'm gonna call it. It is weird, Kevin. But what else can they do? I mean,
talk to the Orange Bowl folks. They're playing the day before, in Miami on the 30th. But there's a whole bunch of games. Obviously, the Sugar Bowl is going to be ahead of the playoffs. The playoffs this year are the Peach Bowl in Atlanta and the Fiesta Bowl. So we'll have a triple header of football there. But obviously, you go past that, you're dealing with the NFL, and obviously both college football and the NFL very respectful of each other's place. And again, usually college football does not mess with Monday Night Football. Usually college football will not mess with the NFL primetime Sunday night game. We've seen games when there's NFL college bowl games, maybe at noon, maybe at, but they will not mess with the primetime spots of the National Football League. And usually the National Football League is like, okay, well, you got Saturdays, man. Like, that's what you got to do. So, yeah, a lot of folks already getting upset that the Sugar Bowl going to be at 12 noon instead of that traditional night spot there on New Year's Eve. But, hey, you got to get those college football playoff games in, and tradition be darned. That's what we've been talking about, Ben, with all the college football expansion and this and that. I mean, a lot of you get tied up on tradition. I'm right there with you a lot of times. I get tied up on tradition, but tradition be darned in the new wave of college football, right? We're just making it happen.
Yep. Well, Kevin, I mean,
we get it.
I mean, think about this too, right? Don't know this is why they're really doing this. For everybody saying, "War was the Sugar Bowl," who's going to be that sacrificial? New Year's Six Bowl or what may have you in 2023. The scheduling is always what games can we get in prime time. But when you start talking about games that have been fixated in our minds and fixated in these schedules, some of these schedule makers is already built in. You don't mess with the college football playoff, and that adds to something, Kevin. Remember why we were saying, why would they go to 6 teams? Why would they go to 8? That's more scheduling for them to have their own. So all that kind of stuff goes into it.
Man, would you take one more bowl game and have a 12, a 3, a 6, and an 8 o'clock? Have 4 playoff games going on all at the same time? Why not?
Why not? I mean, and the thing. Now, because I will say this. I mean, because in a sense, Kevin, think about this. It's so many bowl games. They literally play them all day. They literally play. No, they will play bowl games all day. It makes you look like, wait a minute, man. I thought this game went off though. That was a 12 o'clock. Then they got a 3:30. Then they got an 8 o'clock, and that's on the East Coast. Now they got some out there on the West Coast to where. So I do think that when you talk about the scheduling aspect of it, and listen, as on the movie Concussion. college football, the NFL, they own certain days of the week. And you start putting prime time, they're not moving that for nobody. They're not moving those things for anybody. So sorry, Sugar Bowl. Y'all get to do it this year. So if you make the Sugar Bowl, hey, it's going to be early. Yeah, pregame meal and breakfast is at the same time. Get you some grits, get you some chicken, and get on to the game.
But it's New Year's Eve in New Orleans. You're done. You're out of the building by 4:00. Get ready to go ring in 2023, right?
Yeah.
Plenty of time there on Bourbon Street, post game to go out and do what you got to do.
I mean, I was thinking they would have something built in for you to enjoy yourself. I mean, you in New Orleans. If you lose the game, at least go out there and enjoy yourself out there in the French Quarter or do something. But
look, there's not many people that have had a bad time in New Orleans down there in the French Quarter in Bourbon, right? There's just not too many people.
Listen, I was there. I was there in 2000 when it was us in Miami down there. You know what I'm saying, in the French Quarter with the fisticuffs. I still had a good time. Look at my face. I ain't get hit in my face. So I'm just saying. At the end of the day, I was there. It was crazy.
It was a misunderstanding. I thought you said a total.
It was a lot of furniture moving. But at the same time, Kevin, when you go to certain cities, I'm a college student. I want to enjoy the city. We just played in the game, high noon. We're in New Orleans. I want to get done with the game and go enjoy the festivities before we get on the plane to go back to wherever our school is. I think that should be built in.
Hey, well, again, I know that's one of the things that came out today. They put some of the bowl schedule out there. Sugar Bowl, same day as the college football playoffs. They're going to be at noon ahead of the two playoff rounds, which Atlanta will have one in the Peach Bowl, and the Fiesta Bowl out in Arizona going to be the other semifinal game. So whoever gets it, Georgia, Alabama, take your pick. I guess they'll be in Atlanta, and the other one will have to go to Arizona to play a football. I say that like it's a sure thing. It's a more tongue-in-cheek joke, but yeah, obviously number one gets first pick. They're going to take Atlanta. Whether it's Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, they're taking Atlanta, and everybody else, well, you get to go to Arizona. Here it's lovely on December 31st out there in Arizona. We'll come back. One more hour to go here. It's 3 now on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. Hour 3 on 3 and Out as we count you down towards the Braves and the Phillies. 6:05 tonight. Braves with a chance to win 3 games in a row. I feel bad for mentioning that because it's it's kind of been not cool to say, but well, they're very close to doing it if they can get it done tonight, Ben. So we'll get to that coming up just a little bit. We'll hear from D. Orlando Ledbetter talking Falcons here on the show as well. But we've talked about it a lot. SEC meetings in Destin coming up next week. That will be the kind of epicenter of the college football universe next week there in Destin. And you look at Greg Sankey. You have talked about it on the show. He's become the most powerful guy in college athletics, right? Because he is bringing in the most money. He commands the most attention in his conference. And he kind of has the, I don't know what the word is, he kind of has the freedom and the backing behind him to do kind of what he wants because he can command eyeballs on his product. He can push forward agendas where other conferences don't have that do it. He is the most powerful guy in college athletics right now. Will he ultimately get what he wants, which is a college football playoff? And I ask you this, Ben, because I don't know. We know Greg Sankey a little bit. We don't know him personally, but people say this sometimes as passing. Where it's like, I do think he wants what's best for the sport. Well, do you? I mean, again, I'm just going to ask. I'm not saying it's good, bad. Do you think Greg Sankey, in some of the things he wants, expanded playoff and others that we've talked about, does he want what's best for the sport? Or just for the SEC? I'm interested to get your take because, again, it doesn't make him a bad person if the answer is either one of those things. What say you?
I think Kevin, I think he wants both, but I think it's 60-40. I think it's 60% the SEC and 40% college football because the fact of the matter is he wants to show that I can get the NCAA to do or the college football playoff to do what nobody else can. No other conference is like mine. No other commissioner is like me. Nobody has leverage like me. We talked earlier about Kirby Smart getting a new deal. The highest paid coaches in college football, most of them are in the SEC. The biggest brands outside of Texas coming to the SEC, but not yet. Ohio State, Clemson. So outside of Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma. That's 5 schools, right? 2 of those schools are coming to the SEC. I think the main thing when you talk about Greg Sankey and getting his way is he's saying, look, what I'm doing is good for college football. Yes, I'm the one trying to get it done, but I'm thinking about college football because he knows this. My power goes up even more because now I'm thinking about the Pac-12 and the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the ACC. But he also knows this. If I can get 2 with 4, or I can get 4 with 12, maybe even 6. It's going to benefit the SEC even more. But, Kevin, you know just like I know. When you think about owners' meetings in the NFL, right, it ain't always about the team. The Rams just won the Super Bowl. Their owner ain't got more prestige, right, than a guy like Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft. They understand branding. They understand reputation. They understand power, prestige, influence. They understand these things. Well, when you talk about the SEC, even if you don't watch college football, I know about Alabama. I know about Georgia and LSU and Texas A&M. And you know about these schools. I just think that Kevin, what he's doing is saying, look, I want college football to change. I just don't want to be the one pushing the button. I want to be the one that said I got that because what I'm really not understanding is what is the problem? When people start saying, well, look at what happened in Michigan. Look at what happened to that happens every year. Somebody gets blown out. Look at the NBA. Look at the NBA freaking playoffs. It's a blowout game every time a team wins. But yet we still watch it. Does that mean the top 4 teams aren't left? No. But it's like your own little NCAA tournament with college football. We mentioned just then the Sugar Bowl was going to be played at 12 o'clock. 12. So for all this prestige surrounding the Sugar Bowl, it's going to be another bowl game, a year from now. I think that what he's doing is saying we got a gazillion bowl games, a bunch. You're telling me you want primetime viewership. Well, if it's a college football playoff, you're going to get that. You're talking about helping other brands grow. You're going to get that. And if we're the best team, we should be able to make it through this gauntlet. So I do think, Kevin, ultimately, he's gonna get what he wants, but college football playoff gonna take the credit. Oh, that ain't because of Greg Sankey. We had this in the works anyway. Yeah,
I wonder if like I said, I think the SEC, they're going to be very closely watched next week because of Jimbo and Nick Saban, but also because you had Greg Sankey saying, look, we're going to talk about doing our own playoff potentially. And I think people will be like, are they really talking about that? What are they doing? I think you look at the SEC when it comes to scheduling, what are they doing for their TV partner? We're going to have more big-time matchup. I think that's what Greg Sankey's really saying. Like, it's one thing to keep tradition, but, coming up with this new scheduling model when Texas and Oklahoma come in, what does that really do? It gives you more high-profile TV must-watch football games. And how do we make those happen more often so that we can get more dollars? I think, again, they're going to be the most watched meetings of the offseason because of some of the things that are out there. Ben, do you think Greg Sankey could run college athletics? This is running a multi-billion-dollar business as it is. Obviously, there's an outgoing NCAA chief. Who knows? We've had guests on. We talked to Chris Carlin yesterday. He said, look, I think the power schools are going to break away. Might Greg Sankey be also positioning himself to say, hey, if we're going to do this, if we're going to step away from the NCAA, who's going to run it? I'll do it. I mean, and again, I'm not saying he's advocating for that in these meetings, but has he reached a point where he is, as you said, the most influential voice potentially in the room?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about Greg Sankey that we're not giving him enough credit for, forget the things he's done with the SEC. Kevin, remember the article that came out saying, look, he's been talking about trying to get all these other schools involved, and it went under the radar. It wasn't no leaks or anything. So he's found a way to have cooperation and collaboration with other schools and other conferences, and he does it hush-hush. He says, look, we have to operate in the world of social media, in the world of instant news, in the world of clickbait. We got to operate old school, maneuvering in and out. Forget going to the airport. No, we meet in the airport. I mean, can we just meet in here? I don't even want to go outside. I want to just get on the plane. But Kevin, he's earned that influence. Like, he knows that, look, I'm going to have to make some people mad with some of the decisions that I'm making, but he's saying if I can, he might be the only reason why college football gets saved. If he gets what he wants, he gets expanded playoffs, then all 5 P5s get in now. This is the only way y'all getting in if we expand. And you start talking about G5, automatic qualifiers, because I think what it is with college football is, yes, college football is changing. We get that part. We are not acting as if it is not changing. But Kevin, just like I know, we just happen to live in a part of the country where college football is just supreme. It's the creme de la creme. I lived in the Northeast. It ain't the same, right? I've been to the West Coast. It's not the same. But they are included in the college football fabric of things. They should be able to be involved. It's like this, Kevin. If you and I both have a business and I'm the top dog, and I'm the top dog, and I give you a call, hey, Kevin, yeah, I just got you invited down here with us. What you mean? Your business got selected to be at this, Fortune 500 meeting. But I'm not a Fortune 500 company yet. Not yet. But we finna help you get there. You don't know. You don't think you finna, because he needs allies. He needs people speaking for him when he's not around to say, man, we need to be beating the drum for college football. And if the SEC got to lead the way, they get to lead the way. It shouldn't. You listen, because let's call it what it is. You're not beating Alabama and Georgia consistently. So all this, we want to play them. All right. You'll get your shot. So I do think that this could potentially save college football, because geographically, it's very, very one-sided. One region of the country, sometimes Ohio State. That's all you're really getting. And I know you got Michigan and Cincinnati. And Kevin, just like I know, somebody said if Kirby Smart keep beating down the door of Alabama, he's going to eventually knock the door down. And he did. Now, he had to get the infrastructure and the resource. He did. Some of these teams lack resources. Some of these teams lack the funding that other teams have. You don't tell me if a team in the Pac-12 is consistently in the college football playoff, because Kevin, what it really is, they say, I'm not going to give you money to be mediocre. I'm not doing that. Why would I throw money at the program that I know is not going to do anything? But if everybody's watching, and that's a USC, that's a Utah, right? Okay, now we talking about doing something. They go Penn State that's not going to get in without it, and they're in the freaking Big Ten. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think sometimes, Kevin, it's about who's doing it, not what they're doing. Because if it's getting done, it shouldn't matter to you. Oh, it's Greg Sankey again. Okay. The SEC, out of all conferences, did everything the right way during the pandemic when you really didn't know what in the world you was doing. I think that Greg Sankey, I've met him before, man, seemed to be a cool, calm, collected guy. And no matter what the money you throw at him, man, the man been making money for a long time. He wants to see college football stay around. And this might be the only way it got guys like Mark Emmert and the NCAA even have a platform to stand on. Because right now, Kevin, you talk about when's the last time we heard anything from Mark Emmert? Nothing.
No, I mean, he's on the way out.
He's on the way out, but whoever's replacing him, you're replacing him to do what? I mean, that's what is the new president going to do? If the
I say this, I think the way it continues to move, I think you are looking at Greg Sankey. I mean, I know Jimbo said it about Nick and Jess, but I really think you could be looking at Greg Sankey becoming a czar of college football if they do indeed get to a point where it becomes a power three and they say, see y'all later, which a lot of people have said is on the way to happening. So who runs that? I think he's certainly right in line to do that. That's why, again, I think it's very interesting to see what comes out of the meetings next week in terms of what the SEC wants and how much they want, how badly they want it. Because, as you said, Greg Sankey, SEC commissioners haven't been told no a whole lot. Roy Kramer, go way back when. He was the first one to say, I want a championship game. It happened, right? SEC, I want a championship game. It happened. We make rules to happen. Continued on. Then Mike Slive comes in there talking about expansion, talking about working with the ACC to come up with a college football playoff. Well, you can't do that. It happened. And now you have, Greg Sankey, who has overseen the transition along with Mike Slive, the creation of a SEC network, building the brands of not just football, but all their programs, now to the point where the SEC has the chutzpah to leak out, the stones to leak out. Hey, we know we want expanded playoffs, but we're going to talk about doing one ourselves. Like, you don't just let that slip out unless at least it's a veiled threat or a legitimate process that you think could happen. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens next week in Destin, despite, not just who's laying in the sand, taking up some sun and crashing on some waves. So we got more to come here. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Love to hear from you on the show. 912-342-7184 at Pigskin Radio on Twitter. We're streaming live ESPNCoastal.com. You can also watch the show on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel at ESPN Coastal. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Thanks for making us a part of your day. We'll hear from D. Orlando Ledbetter coming up in just a little bit as we count you down towards the Braves and Phillies. Braves been with a chance, dare I say it. I'm been scared to say it all show. Could win 3 in a row if they get it done tonight. Win 8-4. Thankfully, the Phillies defense worse than the Braves as they threw it around the yard last night. But look, this Braves team with a chance to find. We said this stretch, a chance to find a little momentum. You're guaranteed a split at worst. A win tonight obviously will be 3 out of 4. If you get a series win and continue here through this stretch where, again, you're not going to face a winning team until nearly the end of June. So I think it'd be a good sign if they could go out and finish off the Phillies tonight, take 3 out of 4, and move on to the Marlins again.
I like their chances, Kevin. And I know when you start talking about this Braves team, yeah. I mean, you're talking about the field, obviously the errors and different things. I think when you look at this Braves team, Kevin, they're showing poise, right? I mean, 8 runs is obviously a solid outing for any team to go out there and get a big dub. And like I said, they're working on their game, every single at bat, every single outing. I mean, every single inning. And if they do get this third, you don't want to split it. You definitely want, like you said, at worst, they're going to split the series. But at best, they can get 3 out of 4. For a team that obviously with a guy like Ronald Acuna, dealing with an injury right now. Hopefully, it's not something that's going to be long term. But I just like the fight of the team. I like this Braves team that understands. Look, man, we got to fight our way through it. We got to find a way to get these dubs. Nobody's going to feel sorry for the Bravos. I'm sorry, man. We got one of the best teams, definitely one of the best lineups. Everywhere you look, the Braves are loaded. Lineup loaded. Starting pitching loaded. Bullpen loaded. And I just think that, Kevin, if they can stick to their winning ways, it's so much easier to go back and look at the game when you winning. And you still making corrections. You still trying to make sure guys are still having good at bats. Guys are still being aggressive. Guys are still playing quality defense. Throwing strikes, not walking people, different things. But 8-4 sounds much better than 4-8. Them losing the game. So I do think when you think about this Braves team, Kevin, it's working through it every single game, every single inning. So I just think at the end of the day, we got to find a way to make sure they continue with their winning ways, and hopefully they don't fall into one of these slumps of Kevin, like playing well, want to continue to play well. I think they got good a shot as in.
And I had to do it without Ronald Acuna Jr. last night. Had a quad strain, according to Brian Snicker, not going to play tonight either. So winning without Acuna, I think, is important. Ben, it shows you can still continue to get it done. But, he has been a interesting case here. I know I was talking with somebody yesterday. They said, man, I hope he doesn't become injury prone. I know that is that's a dirty phrase around athletes, right? Oh, you're injury prone. Why? Because I got hurt? Does that mean like I'm always going to get? But you have Acuna, obviously had a tough knee injury his rookie year, obviously tore his ACL last year. And now, a quad strain is not a major thing, but still going to miss some time. Do you worry about that if you're a Braves guy? I say, look, if he's healthy, you got to let him go out there and be him. And you take the down. If he does end up with a quad strain over a couple of days, you got to have him where he is. But how do you feel about that? Acuna out again, hasn't been able to stay consistently in the lineup because of him bringing him back from the ACL. And now this, do you worry about that where it's like the minor injuries? And I hate saying injury prone about athletes. To me, that's so unfair, but
yeah,
you worry about the people saying that about him.
I don't. I think it's something, Kevin. I mean, the great Floyd Reese that drafted me, the GM that drafted me with the Tennessee Titans. Man, he rests in peace. He always says the hardest thing for any player is how do you deal with injuries. Like he said, that's the hardest thing. It's not going to be the game. It's not going to be the X and the O's. It's not going to be the opponents. It's not going to be the schedule. Right? It's going to be how do you deal with injuries. Well, the reason why you said is we all deal with them. The thing about Ronald Acuna Jr. is the reason why guys like LeBron, the reason why guys like Tom Brady, these guys have these long careers. Look, your body is your temple. That is how you make your money. You're going to have to make sure you're doing things away from baseball to ensure you're out there on the baseball diamond, right? And I'm not saying he's not. Let me not act as if I don't know his schedule. But, Kevin, they said, look, you might be a young man, but you have to treat your body as if you've been in the league, been in the majors 20 years, 15 years. You got to eat right. Got to get your rest. Got to, Got to make sure you get your massages because it's about playing every day. Because if you're not out there, you're not contributing. And I'm not saying he's not, but whatever he's doing, he's going to have to add to it. Because I think that Ronald Acuna Jr., when he's out there, you already know, Kevin, I would take a 80% Ronald Acuna Jr. versus other guys 100%. But you know, the healthier he is, the better he is mentally. Because you know, Kevin, isn't he already tops in still stolen bases, and he ain't even been here that long, which shows. I think with Ronald, he got to understand you don't got to live up to the billing of being Ronald Acuna every single game. You being you is more than enough.
Absolutely. And again, some other things you don't want to get lost in the shuffle. I feel like Dansby gets a lot of hate from Braves fans. He went 4 for 5 last night with a homer. His last 30 games, he's hitting over 327. And you look statistically, I saw this point out today, he is the 3rd best shortstop in the league defensively. So you have elite caliber defense. And, you know, that's why I always I look at, you know, we've had these discussions with BJ. I said, when you look at just the raw batting average number, it can be misleading. Because you can look at Dave and say, oh, he's only hitting 240. Well, he's hitting 327 over the last month because he got off to a rough start. So when you look at stretches like that, it gives you a better idea of how he's playing. But I know he catches a lot of grief from fans about why he's not this and why he's not that. But good to see him playing well. And, you know, I always will be a Dansby defender. Again, he's a quality player. Is he of the caliber of a Ronald Acuna Jr.? I don't think so. And people hope that he is because he was a former number 1 overall pick in the draft. But he's a really good player. He is a really good player, and good to see him string it together 4 for 5 last night and continue to play well. And defensively, I think it's kind of like having Andrew Jones out there in center field. You get used to watching it, and you don't appreciate what you're seeing every day. And what he brings to the table defensively can't be undersold at all.
Well, Kevin, this is the thing. So let me just go ahead and put this out here. Because, look, when people start saying, oh, Dansby, he's sticking up, he's still better than you. Y'all need to cut that stuff out. He's in the bigs. And, Kevin, I don't know too many guys that went number 1 overall in baseball. You're talking about something that's hard. Number 1? You know how many baseball prospects it is? I just think that for Dansby, once again, Kevin, these guys only have known success. Dansby is a part of the greatest infield in Braves history. I'm going to say that he's a part of the greatest infield for one season in Braves history. And sometimes, Kevin, it's one of those things to where you start saying, man, it's all in your head. It's like a pitcher that can't throw strikes. Hey, whoa. Calm down, breathe, because you don't got to live up to this. It's what you listen. It's a marathon. There is no greater marathon than baseball. And I think sometimes it's the news clip because, Kevin, I don't know, but social media.
It just seems like with certain people, and again, it's social media. You can't take, but he is never going to be able to do enough.
No,
he's gonna put that label on him.
He can't do enough. He can't do enough, Kevin. And he's a World Series. Think about that. I'm a World Series champ, and I just think that when it comes to players, you got to be very, very careful, man, of what you allow in your system when you're talking about words and criticism and feedback. You're gonna get a lot of it. As a guy that played in the pros, I've had fans, the Titans, say, "Being Troop, you stink, you suck." It happens. Listen. And I think what happens is, right, it's when that happens and you go to a veteran guy and you say, "You heard that?" He goes, "Look, man, they paid the ticket." In their mind, but he says, just think about this. They know you enough to know you by name and call you out individually. So it's still a level of recognition that you got to understand how to use. They came to watch you. They ain't calling out most players. So with Dansby, he one of them ones, Kevin, and he's on a franchise that matters, on a team that matters, and he's a player that matters to his team and his position. Just don't worry about the criticism. You got 162 opportunities, but guess what? No matter what happens, Kevin, the only reason why we criticize a guy like Dan is because we know he can do it. But one thing, just like Andrew Jones, what I lack sometimes at the plate, I definitely make up, you know what I'm saying, on defense because he is incredible. But like I said, you play your way in, you play your way out. You got to find a way. The pros means I got it mentally. I know how to figure this thing out. But just go out there and get it done. It's much easier to go back to the drawing board when you're winning because if you sticking up the joint and you're losing, it makes it even worse. Definitely go out there and get them dubs, and hopefully, man, you go back to the the playoffs in the World Series again. What they gonna say if you get 2? You already stink and you got 1. Well, you can't get 2. Well, most teams are never even get. Kevin, you know how it is. Oh, he won't get no more.
I just think, like I said, it's just one thing you see when he's going poorly, which everybody does. It is just, got to get rid of this guy. I'm like, can Can you just calm down for a minute? He is a really, really, really good player.
You got to get rid of this guy. All I'm saying is, people, as fans, fanatics, we need to pump get rid of Dansby. Get rid of Dansby Mansby for who? Y'all need to calm down, man.
Again, there ain't many guys able to do what he's been doing for the Atlanta Braves. The Braves and the Phillies coming up tonight, game 4 of that series. Braves trying to win 3 in a row for the first time all season long. We'll come back. We're talking Falcons football. D. Orlando Ledbetter, AJC.com will join us. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. On 3 and Out on this Thursday afternoon. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, thanks for making us a part of your day. Falcons going through OTAs. Arthur Smith had a lot of news to drop here earlier this morning, and joining us here to talk about all of that, to covers the Atlanta Falcons with AJC, AJC.com. D. Orlando Ledbetter joins us. Daryl, welcome. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on and joining us. I guess the first kind of nugget put out there, Deion Jones done for the offseason. I know that's a guy that had a lot of speculation about the Falcons want to move him post June 1. What does that do to potentially those plans?
Yeah, I don't have put much stock in that report about the June 1 move. They're planning to bring him to camp and let him compete for the inside linebacker job. He does have a high number on it, but right now they're a team that has the highest dead cap space in the league. So unless they can get a trade or something like that, Deion will come in here and try to compete for his starting job.
And Deion, obviously, when you look at the draft, they got a lot of young guys in the draft, pretty high draft picks that can play both the inside linebacker position and the outside linebacker position. But I've never seen this situation where he's out for the offseason. You said they're bringing him to camp. How good of a shot does he have to actually make the team and not be a camp casualty?
Well, I think, the whole message of Arthur Smith has been nobody's entitled to their job. And you've seen one star after another from the old regime leave. So, that's certainly possible. I mean, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Keanu O'Neal, DeMonte KZ. They haven't been shy about moving on from players. Deion's a little smaller linebacker who doesn't necessarily fit the 3-4. So, they brought in Rashard Evans. They drafted a kid from Montana State, 6'4", 243, real fast. Doesn't know how to play linebacker yet, but they drafted him. Signed Nick Kwiatkowski. They got some guys they could put in there. If I don't think Deion could handle the 3-4.
D. Orlando Ledbetter joining us here on 3 and Out. Falcons also go out and sign a running back today. Is that just trying to make sure you have as much competition there as possible? Do they want to get Patterson out of there and maybe play more of a slot situation? What are they looking at running back after they drafted a running back and now signed one in Jeremy McNichols from the Titans?
Yeah, Jeremy's a more camp body guy. He's been around for a while now. Drafted in the 5th round by Tampa Bay, been with 4 or 5 different teams. Best you could describe him as a journeyman. He's in here, learned the system, but he'd be about the 4th, 5th running back. He was signed today to help him out to get through the off season and maybe give him some fresh legs during training camp.
The Orlando, obviously, the rookies already had their mini camp. They're back in camp again. Is anybody stood out? I know nowadays with everything being clickbait when it comes to social media, I saw Desmond Ridder with no helmet on. I saw, Drake with no helmet on. Has any of those guys stood out? And who do you think is going to get a chance to have a key role come the fall?
Well, they you want to some guys I've been told to check out, and one of them is D. Alford, a cornerback. They were able to pick up late last season. So we've been doing that. They're not it's a lot of 7-on-7. The rookie receiver looks good running these routes on air against some coverage. AJ Terrell's looking good out there. Looked good out there today. Can't tell much with the linemen, but they did not move. Looked like Dahlman was working with the ones ahead of Hennessy, but it was the same line. You got Mayfield at left, Jacob left, tackle, and Lindstrom and McGarry. So, that was a stunner. But, they're trying to work on some new things. The rookie looks good. Arnold, they call him AK, Arnold Ibikute. He looked good at the one-on-one drill. So, it's some people that have been jumping out at us and a lot of people that they told us to keep an eye on. Also, Avery Williams is being moved to running back. And, he was a returner last year, didn't do too well when they put him in there at cornerback. So they're giving him a chance to make the team as a running back.
Daryl, obviously you spent a lot of time around this team, and Ben and I kind of got a chuckle out of OTAs, rookie mini camp when you see fans out there. And it's like, hey man, Desmond Ritter is going to make it a competition. He's out there. I'm getting Russell Wilson vibes. Like, do you just look at that stuff and go, guys, they're in shorts?
Yeah, no question about it. We played not one single down of football, or will not for a month. And these people on Twitter, it's just ridiculous that they come up with this stuff. That a guy looks great in the gym class setting. He should look good in the gym class setting. But we know that the veterans that have been around. I was talking with my guy Steve Weiss at the NFL owners meeting, and we got an award for guys like that. It's called the Lauren Robinson Award. Doing OTAs and off season, Lauren Robinson looked like Jerry Rice and the second coming of Jerry Rice. When they put the pads on, it was a little bit different. He did make it in the league and got him a big contract in Jacksonville. And then concussion shortened his career. But the All Flowery Branch team, he's the king. Of the All Flowery Branch off-season team. Him and Brett Grimes are the two our offensive and defensive MVPs for the best players we've ever seen out here in gym class.
And the Orlando, man, I mean, to that end, I mean, when you look at some of the guys they brought in from the, you get Brian Edwards, they bring him over from the Raiders. You can bring in guys like Casey Hayward, Tease Tabor. Which one of these veterans have looked the best thus far, especially when, like you said, no pads. You can't really get a true barometer, but some of these guys are going to be – Brian Edwards is picked to be a starter. Obviously, Casey Hayward going to be opposite of A.J. Terrell and Tease Tabor. He's trying to hold on to his NFL career thus far.
Yeah, Tease was out there a little bit today. He's just trying to, help make it on special teams, provide some depth. Speed's been an issue since he came out of Florida. Casey wasn't here today, but Coach Hope and Coach Terry said he's doing a great job in the secondary. Still got the footwork, he still moves, and so forth. So that's a good one. And what was another one there? You asked me, Ben.
Yeah, Brian Edwards getting him a big trade coming from the Raiders.
Yeah, Brian Edwards, soft-spoken guy. We got a story posted on him in a few minutes here on AJC.com. Him and Mariota were happy to reunite. They were together with the Raiders. He was also with Hayward with the Raiders. I'm not familiar with a lot of his work. I know he was a high draft pick. He's a big, good-looking kid. I must have missed his pro day in South Carolina. But they have high hopes for him. They were impressed with him coming out and have been following him since, the Titans. And it looks like, they like these bigger receivers because the quarterbacks are not known for accurate passes. So, they just get him close to these big guys is going to be part of the Falcons formula. And he's going to have a chance to catch him some balls here with Pitts and Drake London. If he can be on the field with those guys and maybe Cotterell coming out of the backfield, he'd be the third or fourth guy that should be in a mismatch. So he has the opportunity here to make his mark in the league and earn him some keep. He's kind of a poor man's Mohamed Sanu is where we have him right now. Maybe he can overcome that and be surpassed what Mohamed Sanu was, but that's what role we see him in at this point.
The Orlando Ledbetter joining us here on 3 and Out. And to that end, how do you ideally, obviously, not in fantasy land, but ideally, how do you think the Falcons see this wide receiver? Is Drake London a number one year one, or is this the guy's like, hey, he's a number two that we hope grows into a number one? What ideally do you think they see the receiver breakdown here going forward?
Yeah, I think going forward, he's going to be at one. They're not going to ask him to be at one right off the bat. He's only 20. He's a young guy. You're getting younger and younger guys in the league now. So, they don't want to put too much on his plate, and then you don't have anything. And so he's going to be at one. Probably not going to be the one right now. Kyle Pitts will be the one from the tight end spot, and Cotterell will be the two from the running back wide receiver spot. And you're going to probably see London in the slot a lot, trying to get a mismatch on some little small corner and then try to abuse them that way.
And the Orlando, I mean, this D line. I mean, I know that's the the hardest thing that Arthur Smith gonna have to deal with all year. I mean, how you gonna generate a pass rush? Obviously, they gave Grady Jarrett an extension. Still trying to wait on Marlon Davidson to get out of the tub and dealing with injuries. You bring over Lorenzo Carter. Who's gonna be that guy on the outside to help generate that pass rush at a consistent level in the NFC South that they're gonna throw the ball around?
Yeah, no question. It's Ade and look like Lorenzo Carter or your ones for now. They drafted Obikute and Malone. He's only 335 pounds, but he can drop and cover and do all those things. So he'll go over there behind Ade, and that's where they're at right now. They got some other guys, Quentin Bell, and so forth that they signed and have been developing. But it's going to have to come from one of those four, or that group of four is where they're at right now on the depth chart.
And Orlando, finally, when you think about a guy like Arthur Smith, obviously going into year 2, didn't really have a lot to work with. No more Matty Ice, no more Julio Jones. You talk about a guy like Marcus Mariota, who you hope can kind of right the ship so that Desmond Ridder can ride the bench and not have to play this year. What is he going to have to show in year 2, especially with a team that's going to have a lot of money in 2023? How well does he have to look in 2022 to not, even could potentially not be the number 1 overall pick come next year's draft?
Yeah, they're trying to establish the winning culture. They did that last year. They won 7 games that, they probably shouldn't have won with the point differential. They were either sneaking in those close wins or getting pounded by better teams. They didn't beat anybody that went to the playoffs. So this year, their challenge is going to be to, beat the teams that are, near the bottom of the league like them, and then maybe pull off some upsets along the way. So you're not picking number 1 overall next year. They're going to be overmanned on some Sundays, starting with the second week when they go to the Rams, 2 games against Tampa Bay. They got the NFC North and the NFC West. They're not going to be favored in none of those games. So it could be a very long season, but, they got some young players that are going to get a chance to play. They're going to have to get better and, have enough building blocks at the end of this to move forward in the free agency and brag to people that, hey, we got something going here. We just need you. And, that's going to be their posture coming out of this season.
The Orlando Ledbetter, AJC.com, covers the Falcons. Daryl, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Sure, no problem, Kevin and Ben. Take care. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it as always. D. Orlando Ledbetter joining us here on 3 and Out Falcons and OTAs going on there in Flowery Branch. We got much more to get to here on 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Glad you are making us a part of your day. Braves and Phillies coming up in just a little bit as the Braves will try to take the series 3 games to 4 and win 3 games in a row for the first time all season long. As Ben's giving the shout out to the A-Town guys. It'll be Kyle Wright, Aaron Nola tonight. So Kyle Wright's been really good. Good chance to get it done tonight and make it the first 3 game. Dare I call it a winning streak for the Braves.
Say it, Kevin. Say it with your chest. You don't have to be modest about it. I see Kevin. Listen. Kevin don't believe in bowl games. It's too many bowl games. You don't like them.
I don't say I don't believe in bowl games.
Kevin don't like too many bowl games. He ain't come around with a double fudge. He will still order, non-traditional wings, which don't exist, by the way. But when it comes to this Braves team, Kevin, it's time, right? It's time. And look, they ain't doing it for us. I'm pretty sure Snit and Anthopoulos be listening 3 and Out. They know they be listening. I don't care what they say. But I'm just saying at the end of the day, Kevin, let's get the 3rd win, 3 out of 4. That builds momentum. Because once again, the Mets dude, we can still see the Braves in the rear view. That's right. As long as they can see you and you can see them, you can catch them. Now, if they go over that hill, that's a little different. But come on, let's get that 3rd win, Kevin. Hopefully, that Phillies defense implode like it did last night.
Absolutely. And again, the Braves quietly have made up 2 games in the last 2 nights because the Giants have been beating the Mets up. So again, you go out and you win games, you make up a little bit of ground each and every night. So a long way to go, Ben. I think they're still 7 out, but quietly they've been making up some ground each and every night. And again, I think this is just one of those we talked about yesterday. Win tonight and just put it behind you. Hey, we finally got a quote winning streak put together, and let's forget it and move on from there and see if we can make it full. Maybe come Friday.
I hope so, Kevin. At the end of the day, control what you can control. Ronald Acuna Jr. get in the cold tub, get your behind back out there. But Braves get 3 out of 4. Let's go, Bravos.
Hey, if they lose tonight, I'll be on here tomorrow going, come on. Just 3 in a row, just 3 wins. Is it too much to ask? I'll be off the edge tomorrow. I shouldn't be off the edge. It's Friday, man. You're supposed to be coming in the weekend. Everything's going good, but come on, man. Get me 3 wins in a row so I can calm down.
Listen, Kevin, you don't got to calm down. However you want to come in, it's the day before the weekend. Let's get that dub. Bravos. Handle business.
Yeah, Ben and I will see you tomorrow for a Friday edition. If you missed any portion of the show, ESPNCoastal.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or go to our YouTube channel at ESPN Coastal on YouTube. You can get a archive podcasted version of the show each and every day. Braves coming up in about 7 minutes. Final game of this series with the Phillies. We will see you tomorrow here on 3 and Out.